The following is the text of a press release from the Rockford Tea Party which condemns the shooting of Arizona Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords in the strongest possible terms, and we pray for her speedy recovery. We also condemn the killings of her staff or other innocents and are deeply distressed and saddened such an extreme action was undertaken for any reason. Our hearts and prayers are with the families of all these victims. The events that have transpired today in Tucson, Arizona are a tragedy in the truest sense of the word. The Rockford Tea Party does and indeed must condemn any act of violence directed towards our elected officials. Our sympathies and prayers go out to all those and their families affected by this despicable act. Violence of this nature is never appropriate under any circumstance, period. The person responsible for this deplorable and senseless act of violence should face the maximum punishment in accordance with the law. I am on the phone with David Hale, coordinator of the Rockford Tea Party. David, what are your thoughts on the shooting today of the Arizona Congresswoman?
It's a horribly tragic moment in American history and in the American landscape. It's horribly tragic. We condemn it in the most strongest possible terms, without question. And we are glad that the shooter was apprehended. We hope he will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We're really sad for this family. We're sad for the families of the victims. And we're praying for the families of the victims. And there can be no good that comes out of this in any way, shape, or form. We're we're deeply distressed over this.
Yeah, we all are. There are already some on the in the media and political commentators who are already trying to assign blame for the individual's actions on the Tea Party movement. You have Jane Fonda making comments on Twitter such as violent, provoking rhetoric of the Tea Party. What do you have to say about that?
Well, this current rush to judgment over these horrible shootings that are being formulated in the media right now are itself, in and of themselves, this rush to judgment, are part of the aberration of the difficult political issues we're already facing, and all they're going to do is make it worse. When the left starts blaming a group of people and a segment of people throughout the media, you can be assured that people are going to start taking the law into their own hands. The same way, I guess you could say, as happened in World War II Germany against the Jews. So I certainly do hope that the media is going to tone down their rhetoric and blaming the Tea Party for this, especially since it's not proven that this guy was anything to have to do with the Tea Party. And in light of the fact that on his own web pages on YouTube, he claims that some of his favorite books are the Communist Manifesto and some other, very extreme kind of left-leaning books.
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate thing that is happening right now. It's almost, it seems to be almost prescribed by the media, just waiting for such an event to make this happen.
Yeah. As part of his listing on YouTube of books that he likes, he listed Mein Kampf. There is no conservative or Tea Party member that would list that or the Communist Manifesto as their favorite books. In my personal opinion, is having read the Communist Manifesto to understand it and to know liberal arguing points, it's a pile of garbage.
It's an unfortunate book. The book is basically means my struggle, and Mein Kampf is one of the most popular books in the Middle East. So I'm just very, very sad that it's come down to this. And what's really going to get lost in the whole thing is the tragedy surrounding this Congresswoman and her staff that were killed. MSNBC, and many, many liberals. And there's no proof or connection whatsoever to the Tea Party.
Yeah. So this gentleman has several YouTube videos up of text to some of text put to some music. Also on his YouTube page, his lone favorite video is of an American flag being burnt. None of that is conservative or Tea Party based whatsoever, is it?
Absolutely not. In fact, burning the American flag is it's a hands act as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just, it's par for the course, I guess. It's almost a projection that the media is doing. I'm hearing. I heard the father of this poor woman who was shot, this poor congressman's father said that her enemy is the Tea Party on public national television. I'm hearing one of the state senators from Arizona has already come out and said that her enemies are the Tea Party. The reality is that this woman was actually probably more in line with Tea Party ideas than any Democrat, except for her stance on health care. And I'm doing doubt that a 22-year-old washout from the military is going to be concerned about the health care issue, enough to go and gun this poor woman down. So,
Yeah.
I don't have very many 22-year-olds in the Rock Tea Party.
Now you do have one 28-year-old, by the way.
I do, but they're far and few between, and it's the way it is. This is just an unfortunate situation, being made more unfortunate by the rush to justice in the media. They rush to assign blame and prescribe blame to the Tea Party when the Tea Party has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I said the Tea Party movement in and of itself is about getting people to go to the polls, to be engaged in the political process, to talk about and debate the issues. Violence never enters into the equation.
No, it never entered the equation. And, even the county sheriff down there, where the congresswoman was shot, is saying that it's a result of the sharp rhetoric coming out of talk radio and some TV stations and some people. And I'm thinking, why is the sheriff using this as a political, in the moment, matter of people politically, when he should be discussing, the ins and outs of this case, and not using it as a political moment? There's a lot of political opportunism going on surrounding this tragedy and the death of these people. That's what's sad.
Yeah, I said something that's often being overlooked in all of this is that a 9-year-old was killed. Absolutely no one supports the killing of any child under any circumstance.
No, absolutely not.
All right, thank you very much, David Hale. In the wake of today's tragedy in Tucson, Arizona, members of the media are trying to blame the Tea Party. However, according to people who believe that they know the alleged shooter, they have said on Twitter, quote, "As I knew him, he was left-wing, quite liberal, and oddly obsessed with the 2012 prophecy. Quote, I haven't seen him since '07. Then he was left-wing. Quote, he was a political radical and met Giffords once before in '07. Asked her a question. He told me she was stupid and unintelligent. Quote, he had a lot of friends until he got alcohol poisoning in '06 and dropped out of school. Mainly loner, very philosophical. Quote, he was a pothead and into rock like Hendrix, The Doors, Anti-Flag. Haven't seen him in person since '07. As evidenced by the YouTube videos of this gentleman and his lone favorite video, he is no member of the Tea Party. In the mainstream media's rush to blame today's tragic events on Sarah Palin, Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, the Tea Party movement. They denote that Sarah Palin targeted Representative Giffords for defeat in the November 2nd elections. However, they fail to note that the Daily Kos targeted Giffords for defeat in 2008. To be absolutely clear, the Tea Party movement is about limited government, less spending, lower taxes, and constitutional integrity. The Tea Party movement is about engaging and informing our fellow citizens to get them active and involved in the political process, and to ultimately to get them to vote in elections. There is no room within the Tea Party movement or our political discourse as a nation for violence. We can do better than that. We must do better than that. And we must condemn today's actions in the strongest terms possible. You are currently watching a portion of the suspected Tucson, Arizona shooter's lone favorite video on YouTube.